me because I can go and be back with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it is working. So we're gonna be live in a couple of seconds.
Ah!
Let's pray, fingers crossed. So done, redirecting, yes, and we are on. So hello everyone, my name is Daiana from Yoga Lies, and I'm here with Chrissy Regan from Australia today. That's wonderful. I don't think I had anyone. Have I? I think maybe I had someone else from Australia, and New Zealand was 2 days ago. Hi, Chrissy.
Cool. Hi, it's nice to be with you all the way over there.
Thank you so much. It's nice actually to have this kind of connections, and we can just be friends with everyone from all over the world. So thank you so much for being here.
For my friends to let you're in Romania, so it's lovely to go to Romania on Sunday evening rather than sitting downstairs and watching TV with my husband. How boring.
I agree. Yeah, sometimes we need a little bit of a change, but it's wonderful and can't wait. I haven't been to Australia, I haven't been to New Zealand, so I'm actually looking forward whenever we can come.
Eventually.
Yes, exactly. Until then, we have you there representing your country and continent. Amazing. So, Chrissy, you are a wellness poet, which I felt so amazing when I read that. Because I used to write poetry when I was younger, maybe till high school. Even now I can do from time to time. And it's very relaxing and it goes into my creative side. Me also writing. I mean, writing all sorts of fiction, non-fiction, copywriter, sales pages, you know, everything that has a little bit of a soul and a story in it. So I relate to the love for writing. So tell me a little bit about this, because it sounds so nice and I never heard the title before. What does a wellness poet do besides being a mummy, because of two?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I decided to call myself the wellness poet, I'd already been writing wellness type poetry for about 6 months. And I wanted to step into calling myself a writer, but unless I had a published body of work, I couldn't say, well, I'm a writer, because I couldn't prove that I was writing and publishing work. So I set up a website and I couldn't believe that the wellnesspoet.com was available. As a domain. Firstly, the Wellness Poet was available on Facebook and the Wellness Poet was available on Instagram. So I thought, well, it's meant to be, it's me. I'm already writing the wellness poetry and all of these domains are available. So that's what I did. So that was in July last year. So
I was about to ask, when did you start?
July last year. So I'd started writing wellness poetry in the January of 2019, but I set up the website and started publishing my poems online, and then they started to be published in print after that. So, but all my life, I wrote poems when I was younger. I then tended to write poetry for special occasions like births, deaths, and marriages and stuff like that. But then more recently, in the past 12 months, I've kind of used, you know, more of my intuition and my journey to growth to, you know, talk about poems about, you know, uncertainty and how to tap into your intuition and how to get out of your comfort zone and fly. So the book that I've written has 13 original wellness poems in it, and each poem accompanies a step in the book, which I guess we'll go on to talking about. But yeah, that's the kind of how it came about, really. Amazing. And since then, I've published probably more than 30 poems. So my body of work in poetry is growing kind of monthly, really. So that's exciting.
That's so nice. And I'm so happy for you. And congratulations for all the work. I was about to ask, so can you give us a title? Can we read a paragraph, a verse of what you're doing? Because it's very intriguing. Or at least tell me some titles of the poems.
Oh, sure. So in this book, I have a poem called Me, which is a poem about self-reflection. And it's written at a time when I was not feeling so great in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it goes something like this. Why is my body so sore? Why don't I laugh anymore? Oh, where has all my zen gone? When did it all go wrong? I'm looking for calm with panic and alarm. It's all in the hips where my negativity sits. I want love, joy, and grace, a smiling, happy face, to be brave, calm, and strong, not ruminate the wrong. I'm practicing self-compassion. It's really in fashion. I want joy in my heart and to not give a fart. I have enough. I am enough. I'm kind. I'm free. I'm me.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. I feel like, yay, cheering you up. I love it. Wow. How can we get the book? This is so nice because I can imagine myself reading this to my audience every day. Like today, let's go to another. I don't want to write that. You know, I'm the type of person like, I don't want to do it all. You did it amazingly. I want to get from you.
Thank you. So, well, this book is available on Amazon. It's available on my website. It's you know, if you go onto Amazon.com, you'll be able to find it. It's on most major commercial online retailers. Paperback copies are not so readily available to purchase in Europe from shops, for instance, but you can order them from online stores. Anywhere else kind of in Australia and Europe, if they order a paperback copy from my website, I sign it and send it to them personally. So depending on post, that can take, you know, anything from a week to 3 weeks. Yeah, so the wellnesspoet.com is my website, and the book's available in paperback there, as well as audiobook and ebook. So if you buy the audiobook, it'll arrive in your inbox immediately, as with the ebook, to download to your e-reader device.
That's amazing. So nice. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So I'll definitely do that. And after I finish this, I'll ask you to just go to my page. That's the one, I don't know if you have, but it's my first name, Daiana.yoga.coach, and then just put the links, because people then can add you and they can relate to you rather than just me adding it to myself.
Perfect. Thank
Super.
you.
That's so nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. And we'll have a poem every week at least. We can start on Mondays with a poem and see how it
You've
feels.
got 13 weeks of poems there, so you can
amazing.
do a 3-month challenge.
Yes, please continue. That's amazing. No, the fact that you have an ebook, that makes it so much better, because sometimes now we have problem with delivery, depending on where it comes from. We say we don't ship to that location. So
yes, and audiobook is becoming so popular now, which is why I wanted to do that. And particularly, I recorded the audio version of the book at the beginning of lockdown because I wanted to have that medium to send to people. So that's been really great as well, opportunities. So fingers crossed. I've had good feedback from both men and women, so I'm grateful for that.
No, I believe so. And I think it works. Some people, when I used to read a verse or say something to them, they're like, oh, this felt like it was talking to me. So I'm sure I'm going to get the same. Or for me as well. I'm like, this is, I love that part. Why does my body feel so sore? I love it. So nice, very nice. Excellent. Okay, so let me go into the questions that we have at the beginning of our interviews. And the first one is related to the problems that you solve. So now you being a wellness problem and also doing other things for women, because I know you have a page for women, right? We're just going live on that for mummies, actually.
Yes. So I have 2 pages, a Wellness Poet, which is a general health and wellbeing page aimed at anybody, and Mindful Mums Queensland, which is a page aimed at mums specifically, and that's focused on mindful-based aspects of living from a health and wellness point of view as well. But the messaging on both sometimes is shared, but generally I try to adapt the messaging for both, you know, where we are as mums versus where we are as society as well. So
nice. And tell me a little bit of the problems from the mummies or for other women, or from your own experience, that when you work with people, what problems do you encounter most?
Well, I'm sure you're aware a key principle of mindfulness is noticing and being aware of your thoughts. But what I realized about 2 years ago was that I was an expert at ruminating. And I didn't really know a lot about ruminating and how it affects us. And I wasn't necessarily in tune with the fact that our thoughts affect our feelings, affect our behaviors. And so we end up in this cyclical loop of thinking, feeling, behaving. So for me now, when I'm talking to women, and I've done a lot of wellness talks recently because we can be more out and about in face-to-face situations, you know, people don't realize how much ruminating plays a part in their life until you spell it out for them, or you give them a scenario, an example of what ruminating really is. So when I talk to people about ruminating, they say, oh, I wish I'd have known about this 20 years ago, because yes, I do that. And I said, yes, you're an expert on ruminating. But it's helping people develop thinking interventions around their common problems. So do they think about work too much? Do they worry about money too much? Do they obsess about everyday situations, which is blocking, their potential and their creativity. So we talk about, thinking interventions, developing and embracing a wellness mindset. So it's kind of intrinsically part of their day-to-day life, and questioning as to how do I live my life from a point of wellness as opposed to preventing illness. So those are kind of some key things that I help people with. And also understanding people's sustainers and drainers. So when we know what sustains us and what drains us, you can have a personalized self-care plan, because self-care is an umbrella term, as I'm sure you're aware, but unless you understand how it applies to your life, you can't have, a really holistic self-care plan.
Correct. Yes, I love that. So ruminating. Nice. Okay, my second question is regarding changes in the pandemic. During this time, have you felt any changes for yourself, for your family, and also with the people that you worked with? Maybe something that inspired you to write on something, or what has been that change that you felt in the past, I don't even know, 6 months or so?
Well, I have traditionally worked a lot from home myself, so there wasn't a huge change for me in terms of my day-to-day working life, and a lot of the stuff that I do is not necessarily where I'm living, so that is kind of normal. But I wrote quite a lot of articles on things like how to avoid burnout during lockdown, how to understand the cost price ICE model of doing versus being. I really wanted to kind of bring those aspects to people's forefront of their mind, because whilst they're in lockdown, obviously they're thinking and experiencing feelings which are different. And as they're coming out of lockdown, okay, so how do we go about taking any good habits that we've learned through lockdown forward with us in the future by spending more time being and less time doing? So, I'm a very visual person. So during this time, I was kind of projecting myself off to different countries, and I was, feeling myself a compassion fatigue quite a lot for those people that were living in countries where it was much more severe than we were. And I was really visualizing, what it was like in India, what it was like in London, what it was like in New York, because I've been to these places and I felt immensely saddened for the people and the conditions that they would be living with, which was enabled me to be far more grateful for what I had, and what I was, even just being able to go to the shops and see that there's fresh food there is a huge luxury. A lot of people couldn't even leave their homes or go to any shops, and were getting food dumped on their doorstep. So, I was really trying to think about, what it was like for others, and then how to be more grateful for what I had. But, I was also saddened by how easy it is for us to neglect or turn a blind eye to the suffering of others. That made me feel immensely sad. But then in saying that, I also know that people in everyday life became more grateful for things like food, outside space, nature, all of this stuff. Our well-being, our health became paramount, which is my intrinsic message, is to inspire people to prioritize their health and well-being above all else. And that's what we had to do during this time. So that was, on a flip side, a positive in a way.
True. Yes, I agree. I like that insight. It's nice to see how we actually can come out of it with on a more appreciative side of us comes out. Like the mushrooms after the rain, kind of like that thing, like the rainbow after. Yeah, true. And many people, indeed, you get to appreciate. Like when I know when I was ordering the food at home, and I was thinking, oh my God, thank God we have this option. We have an app here, and I think it's all over the world, global, and they just come in and you get the things. And many times we didn't get everything we wanted because they were not available anymore. But then I was still like, oh, okay, we still got a lot of things, and it's going okay. Because we never got an inventory home. I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. We don't need to go and shop for thousands of months here. But everything was still going smoothly here. So we can't really say there was a dramatic phase. But true, you get to stop and pause, and just think, okay, this is, like you said, mindfulness. So you become aware and grateful for everything that you have. And like you said, you have to think that many other people do not have this possibility at that time. Yeah, sure. It's a good time for introspection. That's what I felt. And every woman I've interviewed so far, all the spiritual entrepreneurs, they said the same thing, that for those, the people that they worked with were into a self-introspection and looking deeper at them, taking this time that they might have, you work home, but for many people, and I used to work home also most of the times, many people haven't. So they actually got some extra hours to look into themselves. So that's very nice. And my third question is about coaching. If you have a coach, if you are a coach yourself for other people, and regarding coaching and mentorship, both aspects, what do you think on the importance of this? Because I'm trying to put more awareness, especially in the country that I'm at, in Romania. And we still have a lot to grow. It's not like in the US or even Australia, New Zealand, or the rest of the world. So I'm trying to bring some light into that. So please let me know your experience regarding coaching and mentorship.
Yeah, it's a good question, because when I read that question initially, I thought, well, is there a difference really? But actually, for me, I felt that a mentor is very useful to help you think about the future and think about where you want to be in the future, whereas a coach can help you develop more day-to-day plans and a program or a course of action to get you to a point of success more quickly, whereas a mentor might just help paint the picture or to give you guidance, or say you could aspire to do this, this, and this, and kind of point you in a direction. So that's how I distinguish between the two. I don't know if you feel similar to that.
Yes, I do. And always mentor is like, true, like you said, like a bigger picture. Someone, sometimes maybe it's not someone even you are in contact with. It's someone that you like almost you worship, someone you look up to, that you like his or her actions, what he does, and then you get inspired and you think, like, I want to be like that person, or I want to do this kind of stuff, or I want to have this impact on the world. So you can, of course, now, because in this digital area, we can drop an email or feel, but sometimes we don't even need to know them directly. If we do, that's even better. And because we have a program here of mentoring for kids, actually, my boyfriend has an NGO in India, and he's doing that with the kids there. It's always trying to bring, support to these people, resources, information from a level up, where if they feel stuck, they just get, okay, but this is the bigger picture, and this is how you can do all that. And yeah, I believe indeed, like you said as well, that coaches are there to maybe walk you through and hold your hand and give you that. So yeah, whatever you said, I kind of feel the same.
Well, I tried in my book to do a little bit of both, because for me, like, it's broken to unbreakable, 12 steps to an unbreakable mind, body, and spirit. But for every individual, that would mean and resonate in a slightly different way. So using my experience, using anecdotal stories, experience of others, and then scientific evidence and support to back it up, and saying, here is a wealth of resources, and I signpost people to others' stories and others who are doing inspiring work or talking about, more mind-body connection and other types of subjects, that if that sparks your interest, then go and seek out information in these places, because there are so many brilliant people who have merged the what would be the science and the woo-woo aspects of life together now, which is, science is more getting on board with the woo-woo side of life versus the woo-woo side of life getting on board with science. So it is quite interesting how the two fields have come together so nicely in recent times. But what I wanted to say to you off the back of that question was, I think we can also learn a lot from observing what not to do from bad leaders and bad coaches and bad mentors. And, I've certainly learned a lot from watching how not to do things. And then, okay, if I'm now faced with a situation, that's what happened to me. That's what I would not want to do. So how do I do things differently? And you can actually ask yourself those own kind of coaching questions, because one thing that I noticed as a child, I did use mental imagery to learn skills, because my parents couldn't afford to send me to swimming lessons or tennis lessons, but I would watch people play and I'd practice in my head, and then I would just go and play. Wow. So learning by osmosis and using mental imagery or visualization to learn skills, or to learn those coaching things, or to be your own mentor in a way, is actually something that you can do that doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. And if you practice the skill, you can start to apply it. And learning by osmosis essentially means being in a room full of people and watching and hearing and noticing what they're doing. And then by default, you're actually absorbing the skill yourself. And I think that that's something that if we tried to help children understand and learn from a very young age, they wouldn't think, oh, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. But actually, if you just listen and observe and watch and be in the moment, you can learn how to do a lot more than you actually think that you can.
Nice. I love that. So how is it called? Learning by osmosis?
Yeah, I made it up, so I don't know
No,
if it
no, no. Yeah, I
exists.
got it. But it's very nice because we, like I said, we learn through these concepts, right? The moment you give it a title, then it remains in my head. And then
Yeah,
I will figure out the definition, I'll remember, but then the concept
yeah.
is there. So I love it. Yeah, very nice. I
Well,
love it.
osmosis is, like a membrane that water can pass through. So it's a
Yes.
permeable
Mm-hmm.
membrane. And learning by
Exactly.
osmosis is absorbing learning without even knowing that you're learning in a
Mm-hmm.
way. But you can then go and practice and do skills. But mental imagery is something that we can all practice at home rather than ruminating. We can be visualizing new and practicing new skills and, stuff like that. So,
True, I love that actually. I think I heard some people that were doing that exactly kind of similar situation where they weren't able to do something like physically doing it, they were imagining themselves doing it, and that helped a lot. Or people who were already doing it and they mentally practice it and they become better at it. And the thing that you said about mental osmosis, I think this is well, where at least this is what comes to my mind when we actually take kids from a smaller age to all sorts of, say, classical music concerts or all sorts of places, and some people will say, well, but they can't understand. No, and it's like just exposing the child to such a world that will have an influence and an impact. And you can't just say, well, he won't understand that, or he won't understand the concept or the movie or the book if it's very difficult concept, because
yeah.
it doesn't have to do with that. And we all know that, it's a 93% subconscious that we're actually infusing with all the goodies. And then the child will have, how do we say, will be interested in such topics or fields later in life. Or traveling, taking the kids when they're small to travel abroad to see things, and they're, well, how can they understand ancient Greece architecture? It's like, well,
Yeah.
it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about remember the ears and the formation and the rocks. It's actually just putting all this into that person as an experience of life that he will be able to be interested later in, rather than just pushing them and say, no, now you have to study this, because it's good for
Yes.
you.
You're right. And, elite athletes get visualization lessons, or they're taught, they're actually coached in how to visualize their race. So for a 100-meter sprinter is coached how to visualize every second of their race, so they know what to do beginning to end. So they run the race in their head thousands of times over.
I
But a
love that.
normal person can do that. Not that you want to, if you're writing a program for a computer, you can sit there and write it in your head and then go and do it. For me, when I'm exercising, I'm writing in my head. So I come back and I just sit at my computer and I bash out what I've written in my head while I've been working, because I can think it through and oxygen is flowing to my brain when I'm exercising. So, I like the aspect of using mental imagery for self-coaching as opposed to, necessarily looking always outside of ourselves for that support as well.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. It's still it's a very useful tool that we always have, as long as we know it and we practice.
It's practice, like anything. It's practice.
Exactly. Yes. We also were extremely good, and I have this thing. I'm very good in theory, and then when it comes to practice, I'm like, okay, now I have to go and do it. So yes, a little bit more discipline is needed in my life, but I'm trying. So also with these interviews, I'm putting myself on the track, and I'm trying never to cancel anything or do anything. I'm like, no, I said I'll do it, and I'm gonna do it. So
yeah, so my motto is just showing up is enough. Whatever happens after that is a bonus. So you've showed up today, and this is a bonus. So I've shown up, and this is a bonus.
Super, I like that. Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's so nice. That's correct. Okay, so now let me think about the challenge, because I always say that I don't have a challenge preset. I just think about it and I try to be myself in a state of flow, and after getting to know you through the conversation. So let's see. Okay, I'm a woman. I am a mom. I am, let's say, in my 35, 37 years old, and one child is younger, the other one is smaller. And I want to have a better connection with my family, my kids, more time for myself as well. So I'm kind of a busy mommy doing it all. I'm also working. And how would I go into also integrating my family a bit? Because when I don't do that, I feel a little bit frustrated. I feel like I'm leaving my kids or my husband or my whole family away, which I don't want to do. But I want to find a balance between time with myself and time with my family, and also integrating them. I would also like to have my kids experience, how would I be teaching mindfulness to them? So basically it's like, I want this space for myself. I would like also my family to be part of it. And that will make me feel comfortable, but I also want to bring it and make it part of their lives, because I think it's so important. So what would be your advice on that, please?
Oh, that's huge questions, but all good stuff. So I feel that as mums, unfortunately, we have another responsibility to role model health and well-being. And if we role model health and well-being for ourselves, then by osmosis, our children hopefully learn health and well-being from us. So not to put any more pressure on mums to have to do it all. But when I started being a little bit more selfish, i.e. giving to myself first in terms of my health and well-being, I was in a much better position to be able to give and support and care for them. So if I neglect my health and well-being, I can't give enough. I can't give the best of myself to others. So now that I know that and I understand what drains me and what sustains me, I can really then say, okay, well, what is my self-care needs? What can I integrate the kids into? When do I need my alone time, and when do I do the things that are just for me, and when do I do the stuff that involves them? And you can start to kind of look at your day more holistically, because you can go, okay, well, I know that I need to do this for them at these times, but what's in it for me? And every time your children come to you and say, I want to do ballet, I want to do bicycle riding, I want to do pony club, I want to do, ice hockey, I want to do all these things, you have to think, okay, what is the cost to me? Because you're not just paying the $200 to do the ice hockey and the gymnastics and everything else. You have to pack the bags, you have to pack the snacks, you have to organize your schedule, you have to get everyone from A to B. So it's really looking at your daily plan, your weekly plan, your annual plan, and figuring out, okay, where am I going to find time to take care of myself? And that's when this concept of a wellness mindset comes in, because a wellness mindset is asking yourself those questions. When will I look after myself this week? What will I nourish my body? What time will I go to bed this week? What help and support do I need this week? When am I going to make time to exercise? Do I have any deadlines that need to be met? So you start asking yourself these wellness questions on a weekly basis and a daily basis. How am I feeling? What does my body need today? So if you can be showing up for yourself in the right way in terms of that wellness mindset, embracing a wellness mindset, you're going to have much more energy. You're going to have taken care of yourself. You're going to give your body the resources that it needs to ultimately perform much better as well. And, when we're running on empty and we're functioning on very little sleep, life becomes a lot harder, as I'm sure you would imagine.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So, prioritizing sleep. And in the back of my book, actually, and I can add this as a note in the comments after, I've put my top 20 tips for an unbreakable mind, body, and spirit. I think you can see it there.
Yes. And that little page with a frame.
Yeah. So I'll post this. It's on page 171 of the book. I'll paste this in the comments, because even just giving yourself, these top 20 tips and reminding yourself on a daily and weekly basis will really kind of help with that challenge. And it's a challenge, but the reality is that we have to practice. You can't just go from being unselfish to selfish. It actually takes a little bit of time and work. And what I found with my family specifically is initially when I started to take more time for me, it was quite inconvenient for them. But as they got where are you going, Mum? But as they've got used to it, they're really supportive of me now, saying, oh, are you going for a run, Mummy? Or are you doing this, Mummy? Or are you doing that, Mummy? And in my home, I made what I call a yoga island, a relaxation island. So the kids come to yoga island with me and we stretch together. They know when I'm meditating, if I'm laying here and then the room's dark and there's music playing, generally I won't get interrupted too much. But there are, my yoga mat does get dragged all over the house. It ends up on the kitchen floor. It ends up on the living room floor. But it just says to me that actually, because I've been role modeling self-care and taking care of myself, they want to be a part of it as well. And that actually makes me feel good. So I think I've answered your question in a very roundabout way.
No, very good, because I understood, and I'm going to point out some things here, because that's what I usually do. I just recap for everyone. And then I have another question there. So, because it's very interesting. So what you said is about understanding that you're not actually being selfish. You don't want to run on empty. And I love what you said about having a wellness mindset. I think it's the first time I think you keep developing titles and concepts.
Thanks.
Please keep writing on that. Yes, please post the articles on my page as well. That's so nice. And so, yes, wellness mindset. And that, again, gets infused to that osmosis that we talked about before. And this is the way basically you integrate others, but just by taking good care of yourself. And then they know how to copy and paste this in their life. And this is how they will learn. And that it can be a little bit difficult at the beginning, but they will understand, and they'll understand the boundaries and even come and join you into doing what you do, or respect your time when you're doing certain things. And there was something else about it. What was that? Oh, you said something here that you want to, so you have your own space, right? And you have a yoga island, which I love the idea and the concept, because usually I call it how do I call it? A mindfulness corner, something like that.
Yeah.
Which I used to do with the kids at the kinder, and it was a relaxation corner, the mindfulness corner. We just go there and relax and get all the tensions out and do some breathing and something. How do you do this? Because I have a lot of mummies in my group, a lot, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60% even. And sometimes they tell me, well, it's difficult. They want to come to my place now. And I have allowed that they come in my living room, which is quite spacious, because now I'm teaching yoga only online. And some of them, you're like, well, you know, we have our kids, and some can be like even 18 years old, and then it will be a small one. And they're like, I don't have the place where to do it in my house, or say the space even, you know, or the mental tranquility. And some kids would be smaller. And what is your approach to that? Please tell me, how old are your kids, and how did you manage this? How do you make them come with you, or give them the option to give you, to give yourself the space?
So I implemented this in my house 18 months ago, and I think I read about the term create a yoga island in your house, and I couldn't afford to go on a yoga retreat, and I had how old was she? She just turned 1 and a 4.5-year-old. So I had 2 small kids. So all I did was I bought a yoga mat and a pretty rug, and I put it at the end of my bed. And the rug and the yoga mat stayed there at the time. And I put a little cabinet with a little Buddha, and I scribbled on 3 pieces of paper, love, joy, and grace. And that was my little altar. So I just created a little altar with the yoga mat, and this was Mummy's Yoga Island. So of course I had to share it with them, because the 1-year-old would crawl on it and, you know, flip it all over, and it would be a mess. It wasn't like things stayed tidy and pretty, believe me. But I would go to my yoga island every evening after I put them to bed, but then a couple of times in the day. And of course, they'd see me there on weekends and stuff. So, you know, the elder one had been doing some yoga at nursery, so she knew a little bit about yoga. So she'd come and do yoga next to me. The younger one now comes and sits on the yoga mat. She's 2.5 now. So it's just been, I think, something that they've got used to over time. It wasn't like I dedicated a room to my house and made it this beautiful yoga sanctuary. It was just a mat on the floor at the end of my bed with a little pillow, and that's Mummy's Yoga Island, basically. And it's an island because it's a place that you go to. You get on the island, but anytime you want to. And once you're on the island, you kind of stay there until you're ready to come off it. So it's just also a little bit of a mindset shift thing, because I look forward to going to my yoga island every day.
I'm sure. And what do they know about this? Like, what did you share with them? Did you say how do you explain this to them? What do you do there?
I don't think I did. I just set it up and made it look nice and inviting, and then they wanted to be there with me. So I've actually set one up downstairs for my husband, but I call it the dojo corner, so it's a little bit more masculine. So he's got mine's pink and his is green, so it's a bit more butch, but you know, he can go there and do his stretches and whatever he wants to do. So now the kids see that mum has one and dad has one, and you know, they like it.
Both.
Yeah.
So nice. Okay, wonderful. I like that. Thank you so much for sharing. I believe the same thing. Like, it can be so easy. Like you said, you don't need any fancy stuff, and they just go there and learn by doing from the parents, which is amazing. And I'm so happy because dad doing it as well. Like in Romania, yoga for men is really like, I don't know, 1% of my students have been men. And it's seen as a lot more feminine, whereas outside of Romania, and I know all over the Europe, Germany, in the US, everywhere, like you'll see 50% women, 50% men, and they are still very strong. And it doesn't, here is like we still have that mindset, you know, the bodybuilder and going to the gym and doing all sorts of things. Hopefully we'll be able to shift this in about, I don't know, 10, 20 years. We'll see how it goes. But right now it's mostly women.
For me, I feel that yoga probably feels unattainable for a lot of people because of their own mindset, but also they can see people who are very good at yoga and think, well, I could never do that.
Yeah, correct.
Now, the reality is, without any disrespect to yogis, because I do practice yoga and I know how beneficial it is, but also yoga is just stretching. And the reality of stretching your body from a health and well-being point of view, you can't deny the benefits of that, you know, for releasing tension, for pumping your lymphatic system, for helping, you know, by stretching your muscles. And the reality is that we spend so much time now sitting down. We get aches and pains from sitting all day, from being sedentary. So, you know, just stretching for 20 minutes each evening before going to bed, you know, old-fashioned stretches that you did at PE at school, or what you did at basketball, or what you used to do when you played hockey, any kind of, you know, stretches to help, you know, your body and release tension is beneficial. And that's what I've tried to instill in people. Like, you don't have to be a yogi to appreciate the benefits of stretching, which should stay with you for life if you just practice a bit of stretching every day.
Yes, definitely. It's something that I'm also trying to say, and I have at least this approach towards relaxation. You know, the way we do it is very meditative. We don't even open the eyes. So it takes you, like, eventually becomes a meditative hour from the beginning till the end. And there is no push, there is no struggle, there is no correction, there's nothing like that. And it's a very traditional approach that I liked a lot, especially because I didn't come from sports side. You know, I didn't do any sports, I didn't do any physical activities. So everyone was so surprised when they heard that I was doing yoga, because they imagined something else. Like, you know, 1 second here.
Oh dear, the dog has gone crazy. It's a Romanian dog, so we can't understand what it's saying. Can you still hear me? You're on mute still, by the way.
Sorry, it was a little bit of a mess here. My little baby got very upset because the other dog came.
Oh.
So she was saying, "Go away, this is my mama."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was someone in the yard here that came and talked to mom, so she was already like, what's going on? That's why. Yeah, so I definitely agree. I think, and we are sitting down a lot, so there are a lot of benefits that we can get out of it, and we don't have to imagine that we have to be flexible or do all those things. So I'm happy you mentioned that, because anyone can do. And the benefits, even immediately, it just happens in your body that you get out of the tension and out of that stress. And not to mention that you can do it at home anytime. So
yes, it's a great thing about having the yoga island, is that you know, I don't need to, you know, make the extra effort to get to class. I know that I can just do it at home. And the point about it being an island is it's always set up. It's not like you have to unpack things and make the space. And because if you see it always there, you think, oh, I'm going to go to the island. So but yeah, like, I'm a huge advocate for stretching, and I'm a bit my parents probably think I'm a bit obsessive. I'm like, have you done your stretches today? Because they don't stretch and they're aching and paining. So I feel that if you don't do your stretches, then you're going to be more achy and painy for longer. So, you know,
it is very correct. It's also not about the muscles is what we learn. It's also about the nerves that we get to stretch. It gets to a more deeper tissues of the body that we have to work with, and that is very, very helpful. And it doesn't have to be in any sort painful. It has to be relaxing and calming. And if it's any pain, then you're overstretching and you're overdoing it, which you don't want to do in anything in life anyway. So you just need to have that self-awareness of your body as well. And I think it works magically. And I like what you said, having this yoga island and knowing that you can go there, retreat, you know, like you just said before, that's your place to actually retreat. And you should do it every day, because we all need this relaxation and the stretching and just getting up to the tension and sitting all day long. So
yeah,
I'm happy you mentioned that, and I hope people will implement, especially with their kids, because they go and practice with you if you
yeah.
allow them and you just set a little bit of rules.
My daughter makes up her own funny poses. She'll say, I'm doing bunny rabbit. Or she'll say, I'm doing pigeon. And oh, no, not pigeon, seagull. She said, I'll be doing pigeon. She says, look, Mum, I'm doing seagulls. So most of the time we just end up laughing because she's making up nonsensical names for things that she's doing, but it's funny.
Yes, and this is the way they integrate. I remember I had some kids also at the kinder, and I was going to tell them about yoga and the soul and everything, like things that we can see and things that we cannot see, and all this. Just a little bit like they're 4, 5, no, actually, yeah, 3 to 4 years old, and I'm talking to them, and I'm trying to explain some things that you can't really see or touch, and then one of the two of the girls were saying, "Oh, well, mommy does this," and they went into a lotus pose, and because they're super flexible anyway. They were just meditating. Like, she does like this, and sometimes she does this with the dog posture. And I'm like, "Yeah, there's a posture from you guys." Like, "Yeah, I've seen mom doing it, and she said she gets relaxed." Nice. And then everyone was doing, like whenever they get upset, they'll just go and be like, "Oh, now we're relaxing." They just don't say anything.
Yeah, I took my daughter to an outdoor yoga class a few months ago before all the lockdown stuff started. And then one of her teachers from school was there, and we didn't know she was going to be there, and she didn't know we were going to be there. And so on the following Monday, she got Clodagh to help her teach yoga at the school. So that was really
Amazing.
nice. But there's a funny story that I mentioned in the book actually about stretching. I won't find the page just now, but I'd been for a run and I was doing a pigeon stretch on a park bench. So, I had my leg up and I was in the
Yes.
pigeon pose
Yes.
on the park bench, and these two older ladies walking past, and one said to me, "Oh, that looks painful." And I said, "Well, not as painful as it is if you don't do it." And she was like, "No, you're right." Ha 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 ha. So we were laughing because it is true that if you don't do it, you end up in more pain than if you do it. So yes.
Right. And how big is yoga there? Do you see people doing it in the parks? Is it super mega common? Like no
Yes,
one
it's
would
super
stare at
common.
you?
Yeah, it's men and women too, which is great. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of mixed
agreed.
classes, but there's outdoor classes. There's lots of indoor studios dedicated just for yoga. There's gyms that have yoga. There's family yoga. So where I live specifically, we're very lucky. But Australia, I think, has embraced yoga for many years. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're really into yoga, and you can go to Bali, which is not far away, and do yoga
Yeah,
retreats in Thailand and stuff like that. So we're quite fortunate.
true. I completely agree. Good. Lucky you guys.
I haven't heard of any yoga retreats to Romania though, but maybe you should start one because I wouldn't mind to go to the mountains in Romania. It'd be beautiful.
Please, they're actually a beautiful one. I think we have to reschedule because now of all the tension in the country that recently happened, and we had something scheduled for August. I think we'll reschedule for October or November. But there is a
Okay.
very nice resort here in the area, and many people from outside Europe are coming. Outside
Oh,
Romania are coming, and
mhm.
it's very, very nice, beautiful scenery in the mountains. And now I'm going with my yoga students at the seaside. So we'll
Okay.
go in just 2 weeks. So
Okay,
please,
cool.
whenever that happens and we get out of the lockdown and borders are open, it's actually very nice because Romania is very ecotouristic. So you find
Yeah.
super organic food, very nice landscapes. The air is very good. So yeah, it would be a good destination. A lot of German and French people are coming exactly because of these reasons. So
Hmm.
we'll keep in touch and let you know.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you as well, Chrissy. So please let us know where can we find you? What are the pages? Who can join in? Because I know you have the one for Mommy and the other one, the Wellness Poet.
Yes.
And then the book
So
I
on
understood, you put a link and I'm getting it myself.
Thank you. So Mindful Mums QLD is on
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram. The Wellness Poet is on Facebook and Instagram, and the wellnesspoet.com is my website where you'll find all information about me, when I post my blogs and the articles that I write, as well as poetry. All my poems are published there. Other media stories, and I have a bookshop tab. So I have this book which I launched in June this year. So I officially launched it back in February, but it's been printed since June. That is paperback, audiobook, and ebook. And then next weekend I'm launching my second book. And it is live for sale on my website. It's a hardback children's book. It's called The Koala Who Lost His Heart. And we're hoping that it will be endorsed by a conservation foundation here for koalas. So hopefully I'll have good news about that tomorrow. Yeah, and so I'm going to start promoting that book and selling it next week for pre-orders, and with the view that people will receive printed copies in time for Christmas. So
Amazing.
That's super awesome. I'm really, really excited about that book, that story, and also to be able to support koalas, which are very, very special.
Yes, that's why I saw the koala post on your Facebook wall, because I saw a little painting of a koala, and I didn't get it. I was just scrolling to find some pictures and things with you, and I saw it. I'm like, okay. So now I got it. So nice.
So yeah, I've written the story, and a friend is illustrating it. So yes, we've worked on the layouts and spreads and things, and so it's in production, and I'm meeting a printer tomorrow. So yeah, it's all happening quite quickly. It's very exciting.
I love the news when things are happening even during pandemic times, because it just raises up and you're like, oh, things are actually still happening in the world, all the goodies.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice. I'm happy that you're one of those people that are making it happen during this time. So super nice, Chrissy. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Thank you as well. And please, I'll send you the link, and you can the link of my Facebook page, and you can post there all the links that you mentioned in the book and everything we can get. And most probably tomorrow, the day after, the latest, I'm gonna go and order the digital copy as well and start reading it to my people.
Perfect. So it's been lovely. And good on you for organizing these and meeting people from over the world and sharing them with people in your community. It's a great job to see people taking the initiative. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well. And I'm so happy because I feel that now we can all connect, and the broader we go, the even better, because it's all about, the whole idea was bringing more resources of happiness, joy, wellness, wherever we have. And there are so many amazing women that are doing amazing jobs out there. So I always like to connect and share. Let's say that there are still amazing things happening, and not everything is going bad and doomed, and no one's gonna die, and we're not going through an apocalyptic phase. We're still thriving, and you're still creating, and things are getting published, and we're just moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you as well, Chrissy. It was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for the input on yoga. I love that. It was unexpected, unplanned, so but I love it, because we need a push here in Romania. We need to say,
okay, come on, Romanian people, get onto the yoga thing. You need to do your stretches.
Exactly. Yes, just relax. It's not so hard. You heard Chrissy saying it hurts even worse if you don't do it.
Exactly, it's worse if you don't know it. It's written in this book, so come on.
Amazing. I'll definitely read. Thank you so much again, and hello to your family and to your beautiful kids. I've seen them on your page. Love them all.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you
a good
so much.
day.
You too. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.